Hot. It's hot, hot, hot. Hey, the one, the one is number one. The one is number one. All right, before Ham goes on, I would just want to read this to you. It's very short, won't take long. From the Des Moines Register. It's from August 20 of 2017. It's a letter to the editor written by Anthony J. Gerst. Partisan media aberrations began under Bill Clinton. I discovered the other day the deregulation, and then in parentheses, the Telecommunications Act, that allowed for cross-media outlets to coalesce under a single owner was signed under Bill Clinton, not President George W. Bush, as I've proclaimed several times. My sincere apologies for this misleading information. I also discovered it was President Ronald Reagan who got rid of the fairness doctrine for radio and broadcast mediums. So who would have thought that Bill Clinton would have come in and been more Reagan than Reagan? But he was. These two actions are the primary contributors to our current partisan divide. Reagan got rid of the fairness doctrine, and Bill Clinton passed the Telecommunications Act. I believe in 1996. Think of the McLaughlin report. You guys don't remember the McLaughlin report. It was a bunch of blowhards sitting around arguing as a fairness doctrine representation. A mediator with two peered individuals debating a subject from objective viewpoints, peered being key to the fairness aspect. This allows the audience to hear dissenting positions and for the audience to format their own opinion. With the rescission of this doctrine, right-wing talk radio arose, and then partisan news in its many formats today. These singular perspectives act as propaganda machines, intentional or not, and inflame our partisan bickering by labeling or alluding to the political opposition as enemy. President Clinton's deregulation consolidated competition, limiting the diversity of narratives reaching the public. Democracy dies in darkness indeed, thereby creating a less informed population. A well-informed citizenry is crucial to the functioning of a representative republic. You have Bill Clinton to thank for it. Until the masses across the spectrum demand antitrust regulations specific to media ownership and a return of the fairness doctrine for radio and broadcast mediums, we as a nation will continue to divide further along partisan lines until we lose any semblance of what our country once represented. Anthony J. Gerst. So as you start lobbing grenades at each other, metaphorically, just remember, Bill Clinton joined Ronald Reagan to destroy the media. There used to be thousands of outlets, and now there's 6. Controlled by BlackRock. Why is it relevant? It's not just political discourse. It's the financial markets which get short shrift as well. All right, 6:54. Ham's going to come in. I'll go down some of you all before he does. But first, I want to make sure the speaker is ready for when he calls in.
Battery 100%. Connected to Bill's iPhone.
All right. Hey, Barbara. Hey, John, Platinum Croissant. I didn't print it out though, so I have to find it. But I do have an article to read on platinum. I have to go find it though. Not today, unless I find it while we're talking, but perhaps tomorrow. Oscar. Hey, Darren. Hey, T. Alex. David, you else? That's interesting, David. The rules for market closing. One of them is the expiry of a former or existing president. Very interesting. Do you know the shooters? I didn't put, I should have put the picture up so that I could show you the counter snipers. You have the sniper and then you have the counter snipers. They were the state police. They weren't the, according to one news source, they weren't the Secret Service. I think the Secret Service has some explaining. Did BlackRock have something to do with this attack? I don't know, but I like how you're thinking. You're trying to connect what's going on with what could happen to stock prices. And that's how, if you get it right one time, that's how you make money. Hey, Donna. Hey, Zizu. Hey, Randall Yu. Eddie Eagle. Yeah, prayers for all. And I think we need to be just saying prayers in general. We forget to do it, and it seems easy. Hey, Susan. I'm not judging you. I'm talking to myself. Hey, Susan. The Thomas Jefferson or the Mozart or the Beethoven or the Bob Baffert. Make America good again. Make America great again. Make America Gooberville again. I don't know. I just trying to have some fun. I couldn't think of another letter for G. But yeah, they misrepresent what that stands for. The other side thinks it stands for going back to patriarchy, misogyny, racism, slavery, all manner of items, anti-papists, anti-Irish, anti-Chinese, I don't know. I don't know how far you have to go back, but it's not what it means. It's an idea that America stands for something unique in the world. And with Trump, it means an economic strength, which he sees as the basis for all of the other rights and all the other privileges have to be founded in economic strength. Hey, pilot to the moon. Hey, Annette. Hey, John Doe. BlackRock owns them all. Well, they own a controlling interest anyway. No, I haven't seen that, Thomas Matthew Crooks. And it's interesting. They had two different names for that shooter. Hey, Ronnie. Hey, Tom M. Hey, Michael Cantero. Hey, Joe Scarpazza. Welcome. Boat bum. The shooter was in a BlackRock commercial. Unbelievable. Did you see the interviews that described him as a loner? He was a loner, the lone gunman. Does that trigger any memories in your head if you're old enough? They're always lone. I saw a piece on that. Hey, Nick. Oh, what a beautiful puppy dog. Deserves a big, big hug. Ace says enough prayers. Does he say them out loud with you? I don't have the courage. I don't have the courage on that.
Call from.
Hello, you're live, I think. Yeah, you're live.
Am I clear? Am I okay?
Yeah, you can start. You can start.
I spoke to that gentleman from Miami you wanted me to speak to. What a nice guy.
Oh no, you're live. You're live.
I know. I'm just telling you, I spoke with him, and he told me he was a proud owner of 47,000 shares of Finger, and I thanked him, and I talked to him about his position, and I hope he could. He's taking a beating in a lot of AMC and things like that, but he's going to fight back.
I think he's going to make his money probably on everything back in Finger.
Yeah, well, he did purchase some down at the two areas, so he lowered his cost, and he's okay with that. But anyway, let's start with all the crazy stuff that's going on, and what I think is going to affect the equity markets this week is, for shit sure, DJT stock is going up. Tomorrow, there'll be 84 days until the election. As far as I'm concerned, the election's over. 84 days. There's a video on Twitter, William, you probably haven't seen it.
So's the tennis debate.
Okay.
You told me this morning, focus on tennis. Anyway.
Anyway.
Go on. Sorry, I interrupted you. You were saying the election's over.
Yeah, but there's a video talking about people he's going to put into his cabinet. And one of the persons is Carl Icahn. And Carl Icahn hates the short sellers. Go back and look what he did to Pershing Square and Herbalife. If you guys want to read about a short fight, go read about Herbalife. Pershing Square, Bill Ackman was calling it a fraud. Carl Icahn brought his buddies to the table and ran him over, causing him, I think he lost $3 billion in the short squeeze in Herbalife. So Carl Icahn is definitely a guy we want on our team. He understands the markets very well. And with Carl Icahn and Patrick Byrne, which obviously he's a lock, we're going to destroy the short sellers, okay? You could pick whatever stock you like. I'm following the one that I've been following since December 31st, 2018. And unlike GameStop, which I followed, but not as closely as I did in Finger Motion, GameStop, I reported the details, but I didn't know the details as much as I do in Finger Motion. In Finger Motion, I know every gory detail going back to 2018. Very different. And I think that the difference between a GameStop, KOSS, AMC, whatever stock you want to talk about, Peloton, Beyond Meat, all these great short squeezes. I think the people in Finger Motion are 95% of them are completely up to speed on what's going on. And these other names, 2% of the people were up to speed. 98% had no idea what they were doing, just playing momentum. People buying it, trying to make $1, $2, flipping in and out of it. And that's why, you know, when you have to let these winners run, because it takes a while for them to become winners. And you got to understand how that works. So make sure you have a game plan for yourself. Use good till cancel orders. You could put an order in tonight. Pick numbers and DJT, AMC, whatever you want, whatever you're playing. You should put your stocks out for sale. And remember, trade them. There's no diamond hands here. You're in the business for you and your family. And that means making money for you and your family. So pay attention to it. Never go broke ringing a register, making money. It's nice to be there when the stocks eventually go for the home run swing. I told you we sold GameStop at the highest that we sold it at was 118. 118, that's from $3.75. And the reason I sold it at 118 because I had no idea how high it was going. All right, I wasn't that much of a student of GameStop versus what I am in Finger Motion now. Because I left life-changing money on the table only because I didn't have complete knowledge of what was going on. All right, so again, when you pay attention, I believe DJT, I think all hell's gonna break loose there, and I think it's gonna carry over to the other short names. All right, obviously I follow Finger, and if Jeff Easton and his buddies will listen, and wherever they are, we're not going anywhere till we wipe you out. That's the way it's gonna go down. We're not going away. I don't know where you're hiding the short, who's running it for you, what planet, where it's coming from, but we're going to track it down and we're going to get you. All right. So, excuse me. The attempts on Trump, and which is pretty wild. The more stuff you read about it, the more the Secret Service, everybody was looking the other way. It's just amazing. I posted a few minutes ago, William, most people don't actually know this, but at a Rolling Stones concert in 1967, during one of their famous, they were playing at Altamont, which is out in San Francisco. I don't know what it was.
Hell's Angels.
The Hell's Angels were the security. Nothing happened to the Rolling Stones.
Did they have any?
That's what they did. That's what the security. There's bigger security guys in local bars than the Secret Service has running around Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's just a joke. If people charge the stage, they have all these little women. And listen, I got nothing against it, but you want to be in this game, you better be strong and be able to.
You should be able to take out 85% of the people that attack you,
right? So,
or 95%. I don't.
So I mean, there's a problem with our Secret Service, obviously, and I'm not going to address that. That's not my problem. But Donald Trump should be hiring his own people and have them around him, because you know what? You get one chance in life. And it's not worth counting on other people. It's just not worth it. And they did not perform their job at all. The stuff I read, the stuff I see. But that's only going to makes all the Republicans and all the people. Listen, this guy was fighting for the country. And they're trying to erase him. We're fighting to stop naked shorts, and we get the same pushback. Not murder attempts, although I've had murder attempt, death threats before. But again, this stuff has to come to an end. This guy needs to get in the White House and wipe out all the fraud that's going on in this country. From military parts to this, to Boeing being a shitty company, you name it, it has to end. We just can't have one company in this country, or a couple like Apple, NVIDIA, and whatever else we have. Everything else is a piece of shit. Someone needs to stand up, hire people, and make things happen. And that's what we don't have in this country right now. Go ahead, William. Yeah, you got anything to say? I'm watching two baby bunnies run across my yard.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was just going back to the gentleman you mentioned at the beginning. He has almost 50,000 shares of Finger. I was looking at, there's something like 2 million of those those emergency vehicles in China. Maybe there's more, but I saw like 2.3 million or something. I mean, if that was even $1,000 worth $1,000 an automobile, that's a lot of money for Finger. I don't know. We have to wait to find out.
You were going to say quid.
I was going to say quid. I was going to say quid.
Well, I'm hearing that the number of total vehicles to be done, including trucks that work on the roads, the road repair, electric utility companies, gas companies, they're all being included in this emergency vehicle protection, service. This is a nationwide like emergency broadcast network so that they know what everybody's doing when it comes to an emergency. We all have our local. I think that the Chinese are trying to make it national. So I think that's it. So 2 million, 5 million, whatever the number is, it's going to be big. We need to know the number. What's the profit? What's the cost? And I think we're all going to be pleasantly surprised when it does come out. So let it happen and let's see what goes on from that point. But again, no matter what the company does, ring the bell at the NASDAQ, announce a contract, announce another contract, and yet their selling doesn't stop. I paid $287 for the stock in 2018. 2018, the stock was $287 when they just had the top-up business. They got 17 new deals, and the stock is being pushed down to $2 by Lynn Partners and naked short sellers. You tell me what's wrong with the equity markets. They're just destructive. They destroy everything. They're trying to destroy Trump's company. Didn't even start the Truth Social Network yet, right?
Right.
Didn't even get a chance to get off their ground, and they're bashing it down. It's got 700 million shares short. It's ridiculous. I have a friend that's going to buy. I play pickleball with him. He wanted to buy DJT tomorrow. I told him to use a 32.5 top. If it gaps,
Which, if you wanted to buy calls, which one would you buy?
you gotta. The calls will expand on a good day before pre-market.
Oh,
So you gotta wait. You gotta let it open up. Hopefully sell off, and then you can buy the calls because the premium will then come out then. You can't make anything. You just gotta pick spots on different things, and hopefully you get hit, and it takes off from that point.
right.
Well, listen, the election is in the bag now. I thought it was in the bag anyway, but now it's really in the bag. We get rid of the Democrats that are trying to hold down the country, and we get people in power to finish off the naked short selling fraud. All right? All these people that are in the SEC will be kicked to the curb or they will run out by themselves. Someone posted the other day trying to break my balls. The Senate has to approve it, blah, blah, blah. Listen, Trump gets in, whatever he's going to do is going to happen. So that's just the way it is. Just look at this shithead Biden, what he's done. He's been spending money, doing whatever he wants. Trump can't even appoint the SEC or get rid of him. Give me a break. The open season on Gary Gensler, Hester Pierce, they're a disgrace. They should be running from the office.
All right. So the excitement is building. The Cleveland Guardians have the first pick in the MLB draft, and the commissioner is about to announce it. Anyway, go on. I'll let you know when he says who it is.
They've been playing great baseball.
It should be J.J. Weatherholt, but we'll see.
I'm just looking. I was watching the Detroit Tigers against the Dodgers.
They picked Travis Bazanza from Oregon State. Wow.
Oregon State has good baseball players up there. But
he goes number one in the draft. Travis Bazanza.
Good for him. Tough business. One of our shareholders has a son playing college baseball. He's Division I, big pitcher. He had Tommy John surgery, and he actually made the team as a freshman, which is very difficult to do. And I wish him well. Very hard business. But getting back to, listen, this is. I look at it this way. DJT stock to me is like another company that's in the same space as them, just got taken over for $20 billion. What's the next one to go? DJT. That's how I look at it. How fast, how far does it go? The only difference is that this company's got 700 million shares short, and God help when they find out who are the manipulators, what they're going to do to them once they get in the White House. I don't know who is insane enough to actually keep playing that name, but they're going to be locked up for good when they get them.
Maybe it's Nancy Pelosi. Paul
Whoever it
Pelosi.
is, it could be, we don't know who's doing it, but they have to be totally insane. And you know what, you could just think about it yourself. You know, just think yourself what you're seeing here.
This number one pick is from Sydney, Australia. Did you know that? Travis Bonanza.
No, I
Bonanza.
know he's in Oregon State. That's all I know.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
might as
but-
well be that from New York City. That might as well be Australia to me. Oregon State. I don't even think I flew over Oregon.
All right, so Cincinnati's on the clock. We'll see who they pick. They're supposed to pick.
Listen,
let's
all I
see.
know is that the kid that they picked from LSU that plays for the Pittsburgh Pirates, he's mowing guys down, throwing 102 miles an hour. So
Oh,
these
Paul
young guys-
Skeens. Paul Skeens. He's
he's there
amazing.
a kid's throwing smoke.
He's amazing.
And the fastest I've ever tried, I was in a batter's box many years ago against a guy throwing 92. And trust me, 92 is fast. I don't know what 100.
The Reds are supposed to pick Charlie Condon from Georgia, but I don't know. We'll find out who they pick.
Anyway, let's move along. As far
All
as
right.
the other stocks that go on, GTII, follow Richard Hoffman. I do believe he's going to get everyone removed. The people that are in charge now are stooges, I believe, for the CEO. Richard knows that. Everybody knows that. Richard is working with the shareholders. And again, I'm not part of that. Richard is leading the charge there. So trust in Richard. And I think that's who you need to follow there. He puts up videos, bringing you up to speed on everything that's going on. Pay attention to that. I do believe once he removes management, I think the stock will have many opportunities. I heard of a software thing coming out of guys that work for Oracle that had a software, Google people that wanted to put a deal into GTII. So, I mean, there's people that want to play, but they're not going to do it when management is screwing around. So they have to get rid of him. Richard is that guy, so follow him there. Finger motion, you saw the deals. The deals are there. The company's in play. I don't understand the motive of someone trying to hold down a stock. You can see it every day, the manipulation. I had a couple of people buying on Friday. As soon as they move it up, they push it down. Move it up, they push it down. It's just remarkable. I think it was 60% short on Friday. You take away the fake trades, you're talking almost 90, 95%. Somebody sells something. There's always somebody someone who paid $2 trying to flip it, make a quarter and make a dime. That always happens. That's part of the game. But it just doesn't make sense, the selling pattern. The company has the fundamentals. They're in a trap. All they're trying to do is wear out the people that do own it. That's it. That's all they're trying to do. And they wear people out all the time, William. You know that, right?
This guy, Bob, is asking, do you think what happened yesterday will shift the presidential polls? Apparently, the gamblers put the chances of a Trump victory up from 59 cents to 66 cents overnight. So I think so.
If you think
All right, here comes.
if you think this guy Biden can win, he's out of the debate. He's lost his marbles. It's finished. If they had a good Democratic candidate running, maybe they have a chance. They have no chance. It's zero.
Cincinnati took the pitcher, Chase Burns, Wake Forest.
Oh, he's a good pitcher. Yeah, he's a good pitcher.
All right, go on.
I said that if you think anybody's going to beat Trump, you lost your mind. It's too late in the game. There's 84 trading days. I think it's 113 or 112 days to the election.
And I don't think they're going to be able to convince everybody that Biden's the most popular presidential candidate in history this time.
It's impossible.
They're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to bamboozle.
Listen, they've been promoting hate for too long. It's over. Enough of this nonsense.
Exactly.
I have many friends of many different races, from Chinese, the Black, the Puerto Ricans, to Russian people I know. And we all get along. We don't sit there and wake up every day and try to fight with each other. I don't even know anybody who does that. Stop promoting the hate. There's no hate here. We're here to make money. So enjoy our life. You're only here for a little time. Enjoy it. Keep your family happy. Keep a roof on your head. That's what it's about. So that's what this
I
election
know
is
that
about.
feeling.
Excuse me.
Nothing. All right.
That's what I see, and I'm just sick of the nonsense.
Wow,
I
the
don't like
Rockies were
businesses.
supposed to pick Chase Burns. I wonder who the Rockies will get now.
They're gonna
Anyway.
get you. They're gonna pick you, William.
Yeah.
And the fourth pick, William. I don't think you can reach home plate with a pitch.
I couldn't. I don't think I could. I don't think I could run from the pitcher's mound to home
Running
plate.
is hard. Yeah, I watched many people since when I was playing ball from 38 to 45. I watched guys hit the ball off the fence. They go to leave the batter's box and they tear their hamstrings.
Oh,
And I watched them take two steps out of the batter's box. And I looked, where did he go? And he's laying face down
it's not worth
the
it.
dirt.
It's not worth
It's
it.
hard.
It's not worth
So
it.
as you get older, everyone starts tearing their hamstrings. It's a tough injury. So, but that's what happens all the time. But again, I'm excited about what's going on. I'm not looking for violence or any of that nonsense that goes on. The short sellers, the people that are manipulating the stock, it's coming to an end. If you don't see it, sell your stocks tomorrow and go do something else because you're out of your bird if you can't see it. If you can't see what everybody's seeing right now, then I don't know what to tell you. Again, I can't force the issue, but I know that Donald Trump, Devin Nunes want GameStop money. And it's free right now off the backs of the shorts. That GameStop money is free money off the backs of the naked short sellers. Whether it's Ken Griffin, whoever it may be in DJT stock, they're out of their mind for even trying to manipulate the stock at all. And they all know about it. Devin Nunes made statements, public statements, that there's naked short selling, manipulating their market and their stock. Public statements. All right? These are powerful people. You're going to have the most powerful man in the world. He's going to have Carl Icahn. He's a market guy. He's going to have Pat Byrne. They're going to revamp these laws on naked short selling, kick everybody out of the SEC, and they're going to start squeezing these guys. That's just the way it goes. They know if they squeeze, let's say they squeeze finger for us. Every investor here, for the gentleman that has 47,000 shares, imagine him selling it at 50 or $100. He's going to take it, pay off his credit cards, give his kids money, buy a house, buy a car, go on vacation. You know what that means for the economy? Instead of having $1 billion in the hands of Jeff Easton or whoever his friends are, stealing, or Ken Griffin, having more billions in his bank account. One person with $1 billion is nothing to the economy. Give it to 2,000 people who are spending it, traveling, doing this.
It's called velocity of money. It's
That's it. The velocity of money will be turning over like crazy. That is correct. CVM, they can hire people to work in their labs. Northwest Bio, the same thing. EKSO can make more robots so the handicapped can walk. EYES, which they already shut down, helping people see again. It's endless. CELU, the guy who's working on infectious diseases. I was in his lab. He probably had to fire half his people because his stock price gets collapsed.
Okay, here comes the Rockies pick. The Rockies selection number 3 in the merit. And well, it was, but the Chase Burns was already chosen. So they picked Charlie Condon, third base, Georgia. Charlie Condon, who is
he's a home run hitter.
That's who they thought would be picked by the Cincinnati Reds.
He's a big home run hitter.
Yeah, they're showing home runs. Oh my gosh, he's Frank Howard.
Yeah, he's a monster. Yeah.
Well, he's not but his home runs are massive.
Yeah, he's a big home run hitter.
He's tall, it looks like.
Well, I follow college baseball, William, so you know that. So
433 batting average, 37 home runs.
The funny thing about college baseball this year is everybody's hitting 90+ pitching. Like everybody does it.
Like they're using aluminum bats.
It's like unbelievable. Everyone's just popping home runs, doing this. It's just amazing how the game, when I first saw 92 miles an hour, I had to change my pants. That's how fast my pants made.
So
they
Andy
said-
hopes Finger can reach at least 7. I think that's reasonable.
Well, that's something. Listen, you get out when you want. The fundamental story is in front of you.
Rexy.
So that's the number one thing. If you see a fundamental story, that takes the pressure off you thinking the company's going to go bankrupt to where they're going with it, right? The
Yeah.
company's on our side. I spoke to a couple of guys today, and we discussed the special dividend and how it's musical chairs. The SEC knows we're trapping them. They know they're not stupid. They can't stop this. All right. They can't stop it. It takes time. It's the end. It's in the middle of summer. I'm sure that they're backlogged and there's people on vacation. So again, for people saying that they're going to stop it, that's nonsense. They can't stop it. The SEC, the company's using the SEC rules, which allows them to do this. The company has SEC attorneys. They know what they can and can't do. GTI pressed the bet when they tried to do the crypto things, but the SEC blocked those things. Those are surefire kill the shorts. Because they can't deliver a crypto asset. But they tried. But then the company gave up, and the CEO went on his own little way. Yes, they had fundamentals, and he hasn't done it. Still hasn't done it yet.
I don't know if you want to answer this, but is there any update with Univest?
I do not work for Univest.
You don't?
Maybe I should, so I can give you an update. I do not know.
Just, it's been almost a year, I guess, September, right?
I know.
September 11th.
Univest, listen, this is a tough game. I don't know what Univest can and can't do. They're involved in a bunch of names. Obviously, people see where they're involved and they're not involved. And, maybe they're holding back, waiting for the Holy Grail moment. Listen, these guys look to make $1 billion on plays, not 30 cents. So I can't speak for them. I don't know. I don't know why they would wait. Obviously, they're not raising money because they can't raise the money down here. The company won't allow that. They said that, right, William?
Yeah, they said it many times. So
that Univest was here to raise money. They're not doing it down here, so they're probably waiting for an event to make it go up. And, those events are coming. But all the paperwork is in place already. The company never has to go to Wall Street to raise the money because they put everything in place already. That's what that S3 is. They put it in place before. Does anyone have any questions about DJT while we're here?
Well, I'll be looking, but this gentleman bought $3 and $4 calls for the next month on Finger.
Well, listen, I agree that they're all cheap calls. They're very cheap. They're the cheapest you can get. They're probably nickels and dimes, right? Whatever they are, right?
Right.
So listen, you're playing a crapshoot. I played the crapshoot. Options, the whole thing is timing. If you catch it right, you're going to make a fortune. That's how it works.
So this gentleman is trading DJT.
If I had the inside information that it was going to go in those days, I would be buying the calls myself. I would sell my kidney to do that. So if you see me selling my kidney, then you know what, I got the scoop.
So you could buy 5 calls?
I have a good kidney.
This gentleman's going to take his profits from DJT and put it in Finger.
I hope DJT, I just got this crazy feeling it's going to open up. I think it's going to open up 5 and then run 20. I just got that feeling. I don't like to chase names like that. If you're not in it, I don't believe chasing it. I believe if it does pull back, you could buy the dip, but I would not chase it on the opening tomorrow. If it opens up 5 and pulls back 2 and opens up 3, then I would take a shot. But I'm not a chaser. It's just my training. I just can't do it. And don't get me wrong, I missed a lot of opportunities because I don't chase things.
The A's picked Nick Kurtz, first base.
Who? Dick Kurtz?
Nick Kurtz, 78
Oh.
walks, 531 on base percentage, huge home run hitter, he looks like.
From where is he from?
Wake Forest, first base, 6'5".
So Wake Forest had the best pitcher, the best first baseman, home run hitter, and it didn't even make the College World Series. How's that one?
Opposite field power, Oppo Boppo.
Again, a lot of people asking me questions about AMC and GameStop for the 400th time. There's shorts in the stock. We all got it. Are they going to squeeze? Both companies have filled the shorts by selling them stock. GameStop is the most ridiculous of the bunch because they just sold 120 million shares of stock and no one knows who bought it. That
So,
means the shorts. Yeah.
so David, who's a lorry, a truck driver, he's asking, I'll read it out. William, I know you don't believe in the squeeze. That's not exactly how I feel, but anyway, I'll read his question. William, I know you don't believe in the squeeze, but does Ham believe there are still life-changing squeezes as he did before, or did things change?
Listen, I don't know what how he thinks that's his opinion. I'm telling you, I believe that these things are tremendous life-changing opportunities that can get you out of a truck and get you on Easy Street. I do believe that, 100%. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't waste my fucking time talking to everybody all day about this. Because I can go trade any stock I want and go make 50 cents a dollar every day, make myself $2,000-3,000 a day. I don't need to do this. I have enough talent to do that the rest of my days. All right? I'm only doing this because I believe this is life-changing. I just don't know the goddamn day it's going to happen. But things are happening that are showing me that it's coming soon. Donald Trump, Pat Byrne. I posted the recording of Pat Byrne for a reason. I know Pat Byrne. I worked with him on his overstock short squeeze. I was doing this before Pat Byrne came around.
And he's no Jack Kennedy?
He talks about these people that he bumped into. That was my team. Those were my people that he talks about. All right? Go back and watch that one of those movies. They talk about a loosely group of people. Those are my people. I showed you my sign from 2006. I'm here for short squeezes. I reported on GameStop short squeeze. I even did a report and I submitted it to the government of Abu Dhabi. All right? That's how detailed I am on this stuff. I'm not just throwing a dart against the wall. I told you about KOSS. I said, buy it. It'll play catch up to GameStop, not thinking that they were going to squeeze it to 18 in one day. I knew the hedge funds operate a certain way. The same three stocks, AMC, GameStop, and KOSS, those are the same three hedge funds whoever the hedge funds are, there's a group of them. They're manipulating those three names together. Without a doubt, if someone went back in time and looked at who was accumulating those stocks before they went, I guarantee you it's three big hedge funds. The same three people. And you say, well, what makes you think that? Because I dealt with people like that. And what they would do back in my day was Upjohn was a big rumor. It was a pharmaceutical company. And every couple of months they would come out with the rumor, hey, I hear Merck is going to buy Upjohn, and we go around on it and it would pop again. And they come back 3 months later and go, oh, it's not Merck, it's Lilly, blah, blah, blah. Same thing. Same people start the same stupid stuff all the time.
But you think it can be life-changing in Finger and in other.
What did I just say?
Yeah, no, I'm just bringing you back around to how you started.
I would hang up the phone in 2 seconds and never talk about it again. If I didn't believe it was life-changing, I would hang up and never talk about it again.
Okay, that's good news, David.
I'm reporting to you, everyone, that what I've been doing since 2000, 24 years, is chasing naked shorts. I'm not chasing them to put them in jail. I could give a shit if they went to jail in that. We're here to take their money and bankrupt them. Bankrupt them means stocks go up. Everyone is talking about naked shorts, not just because of me, because it's happening in all these public companies. And everybody knows, look at the people still begging for GameStop to go up. It's been squeezed 3 times already, 3 or 4 times. Yet those people are still looking for more squeezes out of it. That is a dangerous stock because it's $26. It's not $5 anymore. There's a lot of wiggle room. If finger motion was $20, there's a lot of dangerous room to the downside. Look, it's been dangerous from $6 down. All right. One quick turn and we vaporize it and it goes right through 6, it goes to 10 to 20. That's how fast it's going to turn. I just don't know the day. To me, that's life-changing. If you owned 100,000 shares, or the gentleman just told me he had 47,000 shares, let's say an average price of 5, and it goes to 18 tomorrow, he'll make 13 times 50,000. All right? What's that, $700,000 in profit? He could have sat here and traded stocks all day. He would never have made that money. That's life-changing. Imagine if it goes to 180, 380, 580, and he's long not 50,000. He sells some on the way up, and he's long 30,000, making $300 on it. That's life-changing. That's why I'm here. Other than that, I'm hanging up the phone because I'm not wasting my time reaching out to Donald Trump, Devin Nunes, Pat Byrne, and everyone else I am, trying to make what? I think I give a shit about naked shorts? I could care less. I'm here to squeeze and crush Lynn Partners and Finger Motion. That's where I am. I can't afford to go buying Donald Trump stock. I've been in this stock. That's where I am. And I've been documented everything for 5 years. And I'm telling you, I see the same pattern in DJT. I do not see it in GameStop. I do not see it in AMC. Why? Because the companies have been selling stock to the shorts. And you say, how do you know that? I told you every day they're doing it. But since everybody wants to promote it and pump it up, you can buy the dip, sell the rip in those names until everyone gets tired of it. It may jump 2-3 points. It may jump 10 points. Buy the dip, sell the rip. Buy the dip, sell the rip. The people will get tired. Everyone knows everyone gets tired of it.
So the gentleman with the finger stock that you spoke with said he had a great conversation with you. It was good for him. All right. Josh bought 400 shares of DJT.
I hope he paid 27 for it and he sells it tomorrow at 67. I don't know.
Well, he bought it on July 5th. A friend of his is buying 3,300 shares of DJT tomorrow morning.
Just tell him to be careful. Tell him to buy 3,300, 1,100, 1,100, and 1,100. So let's say it opens at 35, you buy 1,100. Wait, if it pulls back to 33, you buy 1,100. If it pulls back to 31, you buy 1,100. If you buy 1,100 at 35 and it takes off, you got 1,100 shares. That's the way to play it safe. Average in and average out, both ways. You never get unhappy when you average in and when you average out.
I didn't know these exist. I don't know why you would bother because the stock price is so low. But Jordan wants to know, what about finger options 2 years out? 2 years out. Calls 2 years.
The reason the calls are out 2 years,
yeah,
is because the naked shorts are using options to
for
hedge.
derivatives.
So
they're doing it as derivatives.
That's exactly right. That's it. The stock is an option.
Yeah, that's it. There's no reason to pay for premium. Just buy the stock.
Buy the stock.
It's trading at $2. I mean,
what you can do, this is what I would do.
Okay. That's what he's asking.
You could buy 5,000 shares tomorrow, let's say at 215, right?
Mm-hmm.
The stock runs to 260. Take the whatever the 40 cents, right? Times 5,000, which is 2,000 in profit, and turn around and go buy those options, whatever ones you're looking at, the 4s, the 3s, the 5, whatever it may be. They won't move that much. So you can buy the stock, trade the stock, and you buy the money and take the profit You hold on to the money from the stock sale, right? Use the profit to buy the calls. And if the stock ever pulls back, you can do it again, right?
The Royals picked Jack Caglianone, first base, Florida.
Oh, he was a beast. He was a beast too. He's another big total.
That's who they wanted, it says here.
Right. Another big guy. Here's
Media
another one.
Junkie says MLB draft equals Borefest. Well, yeah.
Listen, that when they make it to the pros, these guys, a lot of these kids were real exciting to watch, believe it or not. If you like baseball, if you don't like baseball, then I agree with you.
All right, let's see.
So I'll bring you up to speed. I fed the deer in front of my house. My pool is green. I can't fix my pool. I'm just terrible at it. My family's yelling at me because they can't go in the pool. It's 90 degrees every day and I can't get it straight. But the deer are fed. I did that.
Family's yelling at you because they don't want to hear about Lynn Partners again.
They threw me out. I'm in the yard. They won't listen to me anymore.
I'm sure you could put your wife on the phone. She could tell the same story. She's heard it so
She
often.
can tell the same story. Naked shorts, blah, 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 blah. She can't trade away out of a paper bag, as they like to say. She has no knowledge of stock trading.
Hardest thing about stock trading is the instinct, and you have it. And it's not instinct. You recognize patterns. You remember trades. You remember numbers. It's pretty impressive. But that's like a cab driver in London. You can give them any address and they know it. You wonder how. They just have a big brain.
You know, it's
for
so
that.
funny. My dad always said to me I should become a cab driver because I memorized everything. We were in at my cousin's place in Orlando, and I remembered how to get around Orlando, being there 2 days.
It's just that part of your brain is bigger than everybody else's. It's as big as your right arm.
Okay. My right hand, you mean?
Your right hand, yeah. So Nunya likes the way Ham thinks. I don't know about what, but you got that going for you.
Listen, listen, the game is to stay alive. The game is to stay alive. And how do you get bigger in a position without selling? You can trade.
Eat at McDonald's?
You can trade. Like I just told you, you pay $215, you sell it at $265, you make 50 cents times 5,000, it's $2,500. No one's gonna knock on your door and say, "Oh, you sold the stock? What are you, crazy?" I told you this isn't no diamond hands. Those people that keep saying diamond hands are ridiculous. The company just flooded the market with 120 million shares. They didn't think anything about it. 120 million shares. Now the company got $4 billion in GameStop. Whoopee. Jim Cramer, who I hate, I think he's the biggest buffoon in creation. I actually caught him saying something. Hey, if GameStop wants to get out of the GameStop store business, it's going to cost them north of $1 billion to pay off the long-term leases on all those stores, over 4,000 stores. I think it's 4,500. And I said, wow. So here's the guy who's got $4 billion. If he just wants to shut down his operation, he's going to lose over $1 billion right there, 25% of his money. Then he's got to start from scratch building a business. So, $4 billion, I got it. It's a lot of money. I got it. The guy got it for free. We all understand it. All right. That just shows you the power of a short squeeze. That's what I've been here for years for. It's not easy. I told you it's difficult. The people behind this thing, a criminal operation, and we're trying to expose it. And we are. Just think about it. You don't have to hear my opinion on it. Donald Trump and Pat Byrne, I posted it 1,000 times. Pat Byrne does not fuck around. Pat Byrne is the one that did all the investigation for Donald Trump into the election fraud. His own people, he didn't even vote for Donald Trump. His own people, he did his own investigation into the, what's the name of the voting machines? Dominion voting machines. He did all of that.
Here comes the St. Louis Cardinals. I think it's going to be Weatherholt. But let's see who it is.
They like to get pitchers too. They're another pitching team.
They're a great team, actually. It is J.J. Weatherholt, shortstop, West Virginia.
Wow. Anyway, these guys just follow Pat Byrne. He told you before he goes to live on a farm, the only thing he wants to do is fix the stock settlement system. We got to get the bad guys out of there. He does not fool around. He's an expert on it. He's in with Donald Trump. He helped expose Donald Trump, helped expose all the election fraud for Donald Trump. That's what he did. And he did it as a U.S. citizen. He didn't do it on working for Donald Trump. He did it on his own behalf. That's the guy. That's the type of guy that guy is. If you go to deepcapture.com and you want to read about the election fraud, go read all the stuff that Pat Byrne did. Then tell me, come back to me and say, oh my God, this guy is really going to expose the naked shorts. That's all he wants to do. They threatened his life. Read about it. It's all right there. I lived through the whole thing with him.
Not legal advice says hi to pork loin.
It's always a pleasure to hear not legal advice. My son had a couple of terrible jokes that he wanted me to get to Richard. I just couldn't. I'd have the heart to
Well,
pass
if he
them
wants a
along.
laugh or a groan, he'll get it from Richard.
He knows, he hears me say it all the time. He hears Richard's bad jokes, and he's like, send him this one. I said, I can't. I'm trying to block his bad jokes, excuse me.
I got annoyed with this question with someone the other day just because I was overheated. But,
I don't want to hear
you know, it's not a bad question. It really isn't. I'm just apologizing that I got annoyed with it. But do you think if Finger does run, that they'll do the same sort of halts and shorting and stop trading that they've done? The same games they've done.
I think there'll be halts, but the finger motion short is very different than the other shorts. There are many shorts in GameStop, meaning that there's probably 500 short sellers in GameStop. 10,000 to 1 million, whatever the sizes are. Finger motion, we have just one short seller. We have one short seller, one real short that has to cover 1,930,000 shares. That's it. There's two people, which are basically the same person. That's it. I think it's 1,730,000. Excuse me, I was wrong. So it's very different. So when these two guys fold, and the reason, everybody, make sure you pay attention. The reason they're holding it down and trying to push it lower every day is because they cannot let it go up. They cannot meet the margin calls. When it goes up, they have to put money into the system. They don't have the money to manage to meet the margin calls. And if you look at it, I posted 1,000 times about the guy who was short at E-Trade, and E-Trade bought him in.
Right.
If you just Google E-Trade bought my short in, Google it. E-Trade covered my short, and he's down 120,000. Go read what happened to him. That's what's supposed to happen, and that's what will happen once the stock goes past that $4 range, because that's the short squeeze trigger number is like, I think it's 410 now. It's been going down every day. Every day they sell stock at 2, it drops that average price down. And remember, the real short is short at $3. Every day that goes by, they lose a half a penny, a quarter of a penny. At the end of the week, they're losing 2-3 cents a week. At $3 after a week, the most they can make is $2.97.
Finger seems like a stock that trading desks might, after they come back from their long summering, might start buying it in September.
Listen, there is nobody who's going to take the bullet for Lynn Partners and their friends, wherever they are. No one's going to take that.
Right.
Everyone has a job, and they're sitting here saying, screw you. I'm not taking a loss or getting blown out for you. So if there's anyone carrying a position for Lynn, trying to help loosen the load sometimes, sometimes these guys take 500,000 shares, move it from Williams' account to my account, and I hold it for a couple of days, and then we pass it back. It's like hot potato, because they don't want to they don't have the money to carry the positions. And these guys move it around a lot. It's called free riding, William. Remember those terms?
I know those terms.
That means you're buying something and not paying for it. You don't have the money, so it's called free riding. Yeah. And that's what these guys are doing here also.
Yeah. It used to be enforced.
It used to be enforced. Now they don't do anything about it.
They don't care.
Except if you do it. If you go out and somehow able to get through your computer program at Fidelity or E-Trade or wherever, and able to hit a button to buy 50,000 shares or something, trust me, they'll be on you so fast, they won't even let you do it unless the money's in the account. William, when you were a broker, you used to buy the stock for people and wait for the money to come in.
Oh yeah, I could take an order, and then if the money I'd have to call and harangue them. But yeah,
And that was the.
but I also had to know my clients. They don't do that anymore.
There's no, they break every rule violation under the sun. And here it is. These guys can sell stock without money in the accounts, leveraging up, doing everything wrong. And you can't even buy one share. Go on your accounts and try to sell a stock short if you can't borrow it. They won't even let you do it. You can't even do it.
Now, that's reserved for the good clients.
Go on your account, say, I just sell one share of Apple. They'll look and say, you don't own it. You can't sell it. If you want to borrow it, we'll let you borrow it, pay a fee. You say, no, I want to make it short. I just want to sell it long. No, Goldman Sachs does it a billion times, right? All these guys get violations. What are they doing? They're selling stock that they don't own, correct?
Yeah.
Mismarking tickets.
Yeah.
You can't do it. How could they do it?
To finish the thought, they sell stock into existence they don't own, but they're bringing money over to their side of the table, selling nothing. And so they just are, they're taking cash out of the system.
I'll give you an example of one of the greatest scams I heard a long time ago in New York City. My friend went to a meeting with some cab guys. They own the taxi licenses in New York. And the medallions. Right. What they were doing, they were trading them back and forth amongst themselves. They would sell them for, let's say, I can't remember the numbers. Let's say $1,000 a piece. So one would trade for $1,000. I think it was 100,000 or maybe $1 million. I think it was $1 million. They would sell them for $1 million. 8 days later, it would trade for $1,100,000. A month later, $1,300,000. It kept going up because these guys had all the medallions, right? They would then go to the banks and borrow off their inflated trades. And they were bailed. I think it was Citibank is the one he told me. They were banging out Citibank because they were borrowing money on inflated that these cabs were worth $1.4 million. And then when Uber came along, guess what happened to the banks? They took a beating because the cab values went from $1 million down to $50,000 because now Uber exists. And the banks got caught with all the bad loans. And that's the one I heard a long time ago. Same thing in the stock market. It's the same thing.
It'll come. So Gronk is telling you to check the stabilizer in your pool.
I tried everything. I go to the pool store with the water. They ask me if I'm cleaning a lake. It's so bad. I can't.
Just buy one of those oxygenators.
What I do is I go buy a big, I think it's 2 gallons of liquid bleach. I throw it in there. Everyone looks out the window. It's beautiful. 3 days later, I lose it again. And I'm like, ugh. But you know,
Annette Moore has a good idea. Switch your pool to a saltwater pool once it's converted.
It is.
Oh, it is saltwater.
Yeah. Something wrong with the filter. I just can't figure it out. And I used to put in pools. I did it I was in college. I did it for 5 years.
That's your problem. You're trying to do it yourself. Hire somebody.
Oh yeah, just got nothing better to do. Spend $1,000, $500,000 a pop trying to fix a pool that I'm the only one that goes in. My whole family looks at it, but they never go in it. They all want me to clean it and fix it, and I'm the only idiot that goes in it. Me and the dog.
So Angels just picked Christian Moore, second base, Tennessee. 375 batting average, 34 home runs, 111 hits.
He's the guy from Brooklyn. He's the guy from Brooklyn. He's the guy from Brooklyn. He's a beast.
Yeah, those are big numbers.
Number one. His number was on his jersey. He's number 1. He's a beast, that kid.
Yeah,
Tennessee won the national championship because of that kid. He's
Yeah,
really
he's
good.
Tennessee. Yeah, yeah. He looks like a good young man.
No, they say he's actually nuts. That's his only problem, is that he's a little wacky, they said. And that's what they said on the broadcast of the Tennessee game, because I was watching it.
Wow, this is something, I don't know if this is possible. David, I trust David. He's saying he just saw that the counter cyper had the crook in his sight for 3 minutes,
Yeah, I saw that.
but the head of the Secret Service told him to stand down.
How did they let a guy climb on a roof 130 yards away? The people were pointing him out. No one did anything. I don't know about you, but listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist here. You know, I got my own theory with
Yeah, you're right. He
making
wears
sure
number one. You're right.
Yeah. And this thing is so crazy. There's a photo, I saw it on Twitter, that the White House press took of Trump when he was grabbing his ear. The bullet flew past his head. Like, you could see the actual bullet go past his head. It was right at the temple level. You're lucky he turned his head. That's it. Hey, listen, thank God he didn't get hurt. We now have a leader that I think can get everybody out of this thing. If they would have killed him, make it short selling, I would have sold everything tomorrow, never looked back again, and got away from it. That's how close this whole thing would have continued. We had no one fighting for us. Now we got the most powerful man in the world, even more powerful, and with Carl Icahn and Pat Byrne going after them, it's over. And how do I know Carl Icahn? Because they've been attacking his company and hurt him too on the short sell. So he's going to fight back too. So it's all good. Just go back and Google, everyone. Herbalife, HLF. I remember it went very well. I think it went from Pershing Square was writing stories that the company was a fraud. That was many years ago. It's still around. They squeezed them to $100 and something a share. He threw the towel in.
So Annette is giving you props where she could probably get upset with me. She says, thanks for answering the same questions over and over and over again for us. I appreciate your patience and dedication. Unlike me, who gets upset sometimes.
Well, he just asked me about baseball players. I knew them. I could change the subject. I know baseball, football, college football. And I don't know how to fix my pool. I know how to feed the deer. I do that. We have 4 baby deers now in the neighborhood. So I make sure they don't go to the end of the road. And so I keep them by the woods. That's my main goal, is to do that every day.
TK16 says, didn't Martin Shen mention working in the interview on a project for or with the Chinese government, or was it Chinese telcos? I'm not sure there's a real distinction between those two things, but
you know what? My personal opinion, I think there is a telco deal coming, because no one ever heard anything about this. I never heard boo about this.
right.
This is, emergency response. Listen, people, this is my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. This company seems to get awarded contracts. There must be some sort of lottery system in China, because out of the blue, this company was awarded a major emergency response contract out of the blue. I don't know how they get them, but this is, they seem to have good friends in high places, is my guess, right?
Yeah.
Imagine having Google as your big brother, and every time you do something, Google helps you out. That's what it looks like to me. Only it's the Chinese government. And Google today bought a company for 23 or 33 billion, a cyber security company. A private company for $33 billion.
Oh, Lord. We're not going to be able to hide anything.
And I spoke to someone today who actually owned NVIDIA way below $10. He said the guy was living, in a basement. He was, $4 stock, $5 stock, and then it just took off. The chips. He became the developer of these chips, and now they're gold. So things change in a heartbeat. But the most important thing is there has to be stock settlement. No stock settlement, companies, it's very difficult to bail out through this thing. The only reason I'm fighting here is I knew these people. I met them. I went to China when it was a gaming company. I had no interest in it. Then they got the Chinese top-up minutes, and then I had interest because everyone wanted to do business in China. And I thought that this would be a life-changing situation because everyone in China has to pay their phone bills. That was it. And then all of a sudden I got the shorts on here, and I'm like, okay, you ain't stealing my money, F you. And you know what? They are stealing my money, but I'm not letting them get away with it.
Do you know Carl Icahn?
My friends all work for him. But I'll leave it at that. I won't tell you too much more. I can't say too much more.
MAXN has short interest at 68%. I don't
Get in line. Listen, if anyone's gonna get behind the company, put that stuff down every day, documented. And this way you can teach people, not just one day, do it for a year. I know it sucks. You don't want to waste your time doing this. I got it. I wasted 24 years of my life doing this stuff.
think about
Again,
your wife, how
I
she
wouldn't
feels
wait.
about 24 years.
I wouldn't waste one more minute if I didn't think this was the opportunity of a lifetime. I still think it is in GTII, but management is standing in the way of building a fundamental story. They've had 2 years to do something, 3 years.
Here comes the Nationals. Amjad says, stop being stingy. Hire a licensed pool technicians. Okay, here comes the Nationals. Is it going to be Bryce Rainier? No, it's Sever King, whoever the hell that is. Wake Forest. Sever King, Wake Forest.
So there it is. I just told you, Wake Forest had all these great players that didn't even make the College World Series. So, that's great players don't make a team all the time. So anyway, yes, I will try to figure something out tomorrow. It's green. It's like a moat. I'm trying my best, and I just can't. I'm trying. And I am cheap. I'm sorry.
There were 3 Secret Service females. All right, Max.
Listen, I'm not against women here.
No, I know, but it
I
doesn't
have 2
make
daughters.
sense to have a shorter.
Listen, I have 2 daughters. I'm not going to make my daughter be a bouncer or someone standing in front of a bullet. You need those rap stars, movie stars. They have these big monstrous people. Put the wall up in front of you. What are you, nuts? Pay those guys whatever they like. Show the force. We don't need the men in black, people standing in nice suit jackets with black glasses on. No one gives a shit about that. Put people up there that when you see them, you say, man, these guys mean business. That's the way it goes. When you go to a bar, my whole life, anybody goes to a bar, there's always some guys at the door. I owned a nightclub. We had people at the door. Trust me, you don't want to mess with them. That's a fact of life. As a matter of fact, everyone that worked for me through my years were all murdered. That's how tough these guys were. All right, so these guys were. That's that game. You want to play that game? That's what that game's about. But Secret Service people can't be 5'4" women. What are you, crazy? You need to set the tone. You got to show force. What are you, crazy? Shame on Donald Trump for even allowing that to happen. Get rid of them. Bring your own security detail in there. It's your life. What are you, crazy? Listen, I got a shotgun. I do whatever I can to help myself out. When I go hunting, I need a shotgun. Someone breaks into my house, I got a shotgun. I can't miss you. The thing sprays all over the goddamn place. That's the way it goes on. Anything else? Anybody other?
Yeah, there's some more. Let me just see.
Any questions on trading? Any stock? I'll give you the symbol. Give me the symbol. Tell me what it is. I'll tell you how to figure it out. And, listen, again, I'm not going to do this forever. As far as I'm concerned, I got 84 more days to go. Once Trump's in the White House, Pat Byrne, I guarantee you Pat Byrne will knock the cover off the ball. He will wipe out these criminals. And I guarantee you I will be in Pat Byrne's ear and finger motion. And if GTI can ever get their ass together, we will we will be at that gateway. Trust me, we will be there.
Do you know the stock PHUN?
Yes, I've heard of it before. Yes.
Apparently it
Yes.
moves when DJT moves. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember. I know the symbol. I don't trade it, but again, you can buy the dips. Never chase them. You can't chase them. You know, you got to be. You have to have patience. You know, when these stocks are moving $5-6 a day, you got to have patience. You can't just go thinking you're gonna miss. You're gonna miss the boat. If you miss it, there's other boats. That's how you have to look at it. That's what Wall Street's about. You can't make bad trading decisions because you're just running into the buildings on fire. You got to hurry up. That just doesn't work. You may catch it one time, but you're going to lose 50 times. You're going to lose $1, 50 cents, 80 cents, $3, $2. Those add up. And the time you do catch it, you let it run $5. You sell it, you make $5. You think you're a hero, and that thing runs 50. So what most people do, including myself, we don't let our winners run. We let our losers run, which is the wrong thing to do. You got to learn to cut your losses and let your winners run. How do you do that? It's averaging in and averaging out. That's how you do it. And just so you understand this, Roaring Kitty talks about that he owns this stock. How his wife must have hit him with a frying pan. He's up $300 million, whatever he said he owned, which I find hard to believe anyway. But he owned 9 million shares or 6 million shares of $50, $300 million, and he's doing nothing. So either A, he's on Ryan Cohen's payroll and help the company raise the money, or B, he's a total idiot. Because if he wants to be a fighter, posting on Twitter nonsense things is not fighting. Fighting is what we do. We call out the shorts. We put trucks with their names on it. We went to the SEC 15 times, the Secret Service, the DOJ, the FBI. We've done everything. That's fighting. I don't know what this guy's doing. And I keep calling him out, saying, hey, come on our show. Tell us what the fuck you're doing, because I don't know what the hell you're doing. And I'm in the business a long time. I don't understand what he's doing. What's he here about? Is he going to be a freedom fighter, or is he just going to be some jerk off that posts stuff on Twitter? I don't know what he's talking about. I have no clue what he's talking about, man. Let me make that a point. I have no idea what this guy's talking about. I don't know who he's representing. I think he's trying to help fight the shorts. I really don't know. But if he would have sold whatever this position is that he had at 20, he paid $24 for it. If he would have sold it at 50, 9 million shares, when it pulled back to 24, he could have bought back 18 million shares. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
But instead, he's standing. All of a sudden, he's now a holder, and he's telling all of us what? Hold on, they got $4 billion. He's going to build the greatest company in the world. So we went from a short squeeze to the greatest company in the world. Finger Motion is doing the opposite. They're building a company, but we haven't had the short squeeze yet. They've had the short squeeze already. He surrendered. The company has given up on the short squeeze, took the money, and now building a business. And for some reason, all the people in GameStop still believe in the short squeeze. And they're using the company's fundamentals for the short squeeze. But the companies cover the shorts to get the money to build the fundamentals. You got me. And the only reason any hedge funds are actually playing the stock is because they know people are going to try to pump it up. Oh, and I posted some guy on Twitter. He keeps posting all these big options. Oh, the whales bought 5,000 of the 30s that just expired on Friday. And I told you what happened. What was going on? What happened to the whales? They paid 30 cents. And then I told you, hedge funds will buy the stock, sizable position. Then they go out. After they buy the stock, they buy 5,000 calls, 10,000 calls. They make a big splash. The big splash. I bought 10,000 calls. The whales are buying 10,000 calls. Everyone runs in to buy the stock. You buy 1 million shares of stock. You sell it up $1. They make $1 million. The stock went from 25 to 26.5, right? They sell it up $1, make $1 million. Their calls are worthless. As we all know, they went to zero. They lose $150,000. In 3 days' work, they made $850,000. And guess what? They're doing it again. Now there's 50,000 calls traded for the 30s. All right? So now this week they're doing it again. They're already setting up for it, and the people are posting on it. I told the guy, you got to stop doing this. This is what they do, hedge funds. They manipulate the stocks. Wake up. This is an old trick. If you don't believe me, go back and look at the Jim Cramer video with Aaron Task, where Cramer talks about how he used to manipulate stocks. You buy the futures, you do this, you manipulate that. Go watch his video. He tells you exactly what I just told you. And how do I know it? I watch people do it. Not once, 1,000 times. And I'm telling you, don't get me wrong, these stocks can click and then take off and say, oh, this guy, you know. But I'm telling you, for the most part, it's over with. They're just manipulating the stock now on it. Up, down, sideways. So join the crowd. Buy the dip, sell the rip. Eventually, people will get tired of it. And that's why they moved on to KOSS, because guess what? The hedge funds are tired of it. Did it work for KOSS? Imagine buying 500,000 shares at $6 or $7, selling it up 10 points, $5 million for nothing. And that was what? It all happened on a Wednesday afternoon. It went from 6 to 7 to 18. They didn't even have to wait. That's it. It was over within one day. And now everyone's left with the collateral damage. Oh, is it going to bounce back up? We'll buy the dip. We'll sell the rip here. Meanwhile, I know nothing about it. I'm just looking at something that the shorts are in here, obviously, now. How big is it? I don't know. But, it'll die out like all the other ones. See if the company raises money. I'm sure the company is going to probably do it sooner or later. Looking at the GameStop formula, right, William?
Yeah. Do you want to answer this question, Justin? Does anyone know the details? You can find it on the SEC site. You can find it in the press releases. But do you know the details about the upcoming special dividend other than, quote,
No,
waiting on the SEC, unquote?
I think they're waiting on the SEC. I heard they wanted to lower it. That's all I knew. That's all I heard. That's all. Whatever's on the tape, that's all I know.
Yeah.
The short's manipulating it lower, so the company said we'll lower the price. First of all, as soon as they do it, if there's 230 million shares short, 10% of that, they'll be short 23 million shares more out of the gate with the wave of a wand. How's that?
That's right.
That's a tremendous punch in the stomach right there. And if the company didn't have solid fundamentals, it'd be a tougher fight. But the company keeps releasing great news without raising money, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's breaking their balls the most. And I told you, I heard Susquehanna was looking to give the company money. And you say, how the fuck did you know that? Right? Everybody can say it together. How the fuck did he know that? Well, a friend of mine called me up and he said, Susquehanna told me to reach out to you saying they'll give the company money. That's how I knew. A friend of mine called me, wanted me to represent them to the company, and I told him no. That's how I knew. And you say, how do you know all this stuff? Well, I have friends on the street. And if you put me in a court of law, I could drag in the guy who called me up. And he's probably on the call now. That's how it works.
Oh, you're better than
What
I.
else?
You're a better man than I, Gunga Din. When will the dividend on Finger come
the
with
dividend the SEC.
will it come with a record date?
As soon as they announce it, as soon as they get SEC approval, they'll announce the record date.
What happens is you get an announcement. You have to give 10 days notice. So it'll be approximately 10 days from the approval, but it might be more than that, depending on what the lawyers tell them. If the approval comes on Friday, maybe they extend it a little bit. But Justin, you're just having to wait for the SEC, who apparently is behind on everything, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. The answers don't change.
I hear, so you understand, I'm hearing from other companies they have corporate actions on different things, crazy, and that FINRA and the SEC are way behind on other things, not just finger motion. They're behind on a lot of things.
Yeah. So we came to the end, it looks like, I think.
A friend of mine said.
So Justin's still long anyway. Justin, if you're only in finger waiting for the dividend, I mean, yeah, it's one reason to wait, but you don't understand the story. It's a powerful, powerful story. My prediction is that when everybody comes back from summer, people are going to be buying finger motion. Maybe there'll be research reports. Maybe there'll be a roadshow. Maybe there'll be institutional buying. Who the hell knows? But finger's going to be at the top of buying lists, in my judgment, when people come back from vacation.
Now, William, I did tell you that they're meeting with a big New York City firm. I told you that at the end of the month. Didn't I not tell you that?
No, I didn't know. A New York City firm. That's pretty.
I told you they're meeting with a big firm at the end of the month.
Yeah, you said that, but I didn't know it was New York City where the girls are pretty.
Well, again, I won't give you the name of the firm. A friend of mine is an institutional guy there. He said it's on their schedule. That Finger Motion's going there to present to their institutional buyers, their sales force, to tell them about what they're doing. And that came from my friend who works at the firm.
Well, and if it's New York City, everyone has to come back from the Hamptons, don't you know? So it'll be September. But that could be really exciting. That could be really exciting.
It's July.
Oh, it's July? They're going to be there the end of this month? That's huge.
I told you that 50 times.
That's huge.
I can't tell you the name of the firm because I don't want the shorts to try to smother the meeting, but they don't have any idea what it is, so I'll keep that quiet.
I'll come up and go to the meeting.
If you want me to get you in, I can get you in.
I'll go. Yeah, if you can get me in, I'll go up.
My friend is the head of the institutional sales, so
that should change everything. But I'll go up.
He said to me that, did you know that Finger's coming to present at my firm? The firm called them in. They want to know what they're doing, and I asked him if it's a money raise. He said no.
And it's end of July, not end of August. That's amazing. I don't know why I thought end of August. Okay, end of July. All right, so
listen, I can't remember every gory detail every day, but that you just told me about that, and there you go. That is a fact.
The San Francisco baseball Giants just picked James Tibbs, outfield, Florida State. That's your country, isn't it? Florida State.
That's our guy. Yeah, Tibbs. He was the first baseman.
Mr. Tibbs.
I have his autograph.
He's an outfielder, James Tibbs the third.
Oh yeah, the right fielder. Excuse me, right fielder. Hold on one second.
He's going to be a San Francisco Giant. 28 home runs, 95 RBI.
Wait, what number was he picked?
He's picked number 13.
Number 13. All right. He was picked number 13, Tibbs. That was our guy. When he came as a freshman, my friend's son was in class with them. He gave us a autographed baseball.
Wow, Mantan is saying I got to rely on your memory where it closed Friday, but Mantan is saying that DJT is trading at 37.39.
I told you.
Isn't that up $7 or $8?
$6.31.
$6. Okay, $6.
So
amazing.
Guys, if you did buy it, you can sell it. I would put it out at, you ready? If you wanted to trade your stock, I would put it out at $40.25 because it's going to break 40, score it to 41, pull back down. Then that's what I think. You could sell it at 40 plus, then turn around and you can buy the 50 calls, and who cares what you pay for them because you just made $8 in the stock or whatever it may be, right?
Right.
Then you take that stock money, you take the profit that you made, you can put it into options, and if the stock drops back down, guess what? You do it again. That's it.
So you still have Cam Smith out there from Florida State.
He's the third baseman, I think.
Yeah, Chicago's on the clock right now.
All right. Yeah, had a lot of good baseball players this year. That's why we made it to the semifinals. We lost in the semifinals to Tennessee, and we lost on a bad. I sent you the check swing. I sent you that video.
Yeah.
The guy swung through the zone, and they didn't call. There was no replay on a check swing. The guy was definitely out at strike three. Which day Florida State would have won the first game. Anyway, let's go. College football's coming up. We play Georgia Tech in the end of August, so college football's here, and we're ready to go.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's very exciting stuff. I just remember last year.
So
people,
this guy's saying he
wait,
might
wait,
have.
wait, 1 second, wait. I just want to let people know that you're listening to a complete loser. I bet $2,500 on Florida State to win the national championship last year in college football. They went 13-0, and because they didn't meet the college football committee's whatever, they didn't put them in the Final Four, and I lost my bet. I would have made $60-something thousand. I had a bookmaker who was going to give me $50,000 in cash if they made the Final Four, so I wouldn't have to risk it, and I got zero over a vote. So that's a loser when you win every game and you still lose.
Sometimes you have to hit the bid.
I tried to hit the bid. I was doing that. I wasn't waiting for the final game. I was selling my ticket at when we made the Final Four.
So this gentleman is going to buy more DJT. Would you do that in the morning? I'm not sure I would.
No. Only because I was trained not to chase. It's going to gap open because guess what? The short sellers know the same thing you know, correct? Everybody knows that everybody wants to come in and buy DJT. So they're going to gap it open. It may open at 45. So please make sure if you want to trade it, put your order out there. Put a GTC order, pick a number, whatever number it may be. If you put it out there at $40.25, right? And the stock opens at $46.25, you get $46.25. Do you understand that, William?
Mm-hmm.
You can't sell it at $40.25 if the stock opens up at $46.25. So pick any stupid number. Whatever it opens up, you make the sale. I think the shorts are going to back away, let it open up high, and then they're going to drop it. So that, I don't know how much they drop it, maybe 3-4 points.
If you make the sale, put a buy order in under the market and see what happens.
You could buy it back. Listen, imagine selling it at 46, buying it back at 39, $7 in your pocket. Let's say you got 1,000 shares, you put 7,000 in your pocket. Let's say you paid 30 for it. You bought it, you take away $7. Now your cost is 23. So now you got the same position.
Cam Smith just went to the Chicago Cubs. Pick number 14.
Wow, back to back. All right, so is everybody's up to speed? I don't have to say anything else.
It looks like Trump Media is up 650 on Robin.
It's gonna open up high.
Anna says thank you.
Oh, how's she doing? I hope she's doing well.
I think it's Anna.
I miss talking to her.
Yeah.
But it's the summer. I'm working hard. I got a lot of stuff going on. I have a grandson now, so I'm working, babysitting, doing a lot of stuff. And
Cam Smith had 100 hits.
Yeah, he was a big hitter. And I have to get knee surgery in September.
Can they operate higher, like in the cranial area?
Yes, bring me the brain from. Bring me Abby Normal's brain.
Abby Normal.
I was watching that the other day. If anyone does never watch it, you watch Young Frankenstein. It was brilliant.
What knockers?
He goes, "Oh, thank you, doctor."
Walk this way.
Anything else, everybody?
No, that's everything.
Possible.
That's everything. Well,
for my friend Mike, who's drunk in a bar, who just joined the call, welcome. We're signing off now, Mike. Thank you for being late. And no one told Rosenberg about this call tonight, which is a pleasure.
Rosenberg is on the wall.
He's okay. He's a good guy.
He's saying
Anything
you
else?
can't handle the truth.
Anything else?
The one is voting for Trump. A lot of thank yous.
Listen, you have to vote for Trump. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian. I'm more concerned. Okay, number one, we all want everything to be safe. We all want that. That's number one. All right, the Democrats have been promoting all this crazy stuff. I'm not a political person, but I want my family to be safe. I want to be safe. I don't go to New York as much as I used to because I find it to be dangerous. If you go to Midtown and you see 40 guys hanging on a corner, that's not fun anymore. All right, two guys you can fight, 40 guys you can get run over. I don't care who you are. So to me, when people come to New York, you'll get the feel of it real quick and how it's not what it used to be. Okay. And, I grew up in New York and it's just not fun anymore. I used to love to go to Broadway plays, go to dinner. No one does it anymore. Zero. I don't even know how they're staying open. No one does it anymore. But anyway, what I was trying to say is that I forgot what I was trying to say.
Voting for Trump, you were saying you have to.
Oh, yeah, listen, if you're a Libertarian, a Democrat, Republican, besides the safety issue, getting the country on track, we need to get financial freedom, and the stock market provides it by being smart, doing your homework, and it's impossible to do it when the deck is stacked against you. It's impossible. You may win once, twice, 3 times, but the one I told you, the most deadly, and I'll give you an example. That company in Seattle, which I've been bashing, KNW, signed a deal with Lynn Partners. Complete debt spiral financing. They're going to get slaughtered. The stock was 90 cents. I told him 50,000 times, the CEO to do his homework, you name it. I know nothing about this company. The guy's from Seattle. The company's in Seattle. That CEO has probably told every friend of his to go load up in this thing. We're getting money. We got a New York firm going to give us money. We're going to do our trials. Everything's going to be great. We're doing, I forgot what, I think it's, I forgot what he's doing. I forgot. And I think it's diabetes, right? He's probably telling everybody we're going to get this, that, this, and the other thing, without understanding what he signed with Lynn Partners. The stock is down 50%. The lower it goes, the more shares Lynn gets. So the capital structure of the company is destroyed. Just imagine if you live next door to that guy in Seattle and he got to you and you put your family in for $200,000 to 200,000 shares at 90 cents. And now you're down 100 and you know what's going on now. Now you see the debt spiral and the company can't get out of it. Those are the ones that kill families, kills investors, because you know the CEO, you play golf with them, you've seen him, you know him somewhere, and he buries all his friends first. That's what happens. And everybody goes in big, and they start telling their friends, and they get wiped out. And Lynn Partners is there shorting the whole thing, and they're going to convert it back at a penny. So they're selling it at 80 cents, and they're buying it back at a penny. Millions of shares. The more you buy, the more they sell. And that's an example how people get wiped out. You may lose 10,000, 5,000, but when a CEO of a company telling you to your face in private, hey, I got this going on, he murders people. Those investors get slaughtered. And I've been trying to warn them and tell the CEO to read what he signed, and he just basically murdered everybody. Anyway, I'm going to go watch the the Game of Thrones, the Dragons, the House of Dragons, and I have to keep up on it because my daughter questions me on it and I have to follow it. So I have to go watch that at 9:00.
Gerangelo Sigente, pitcher, Mississippi State, just went to Seattle.
And for those who didn't see it, go watch The Beekeeper.
I saw The Beekeeper.
That's who we need. We need a beekeeper. We need someone who's ruthless as him to be the beekeeper. That's what we need. Yeah. It's an action-packed movie for guys. I don't think the girls are going to like that, but Anna would definitely not like it, but the guys are going to love it. Anyway, listen, everyone, have a great night, and go Good luck tomorrow. And again, you can always put your stock out for sale. Pick a number on DJT. You could sell it. Just think if you paid 44 for it, all right? You bought it too high last time. All right. If anyone's paying attention, you know who I'm talking to. You paid 44, throw it out at 46 or 47. You make the sale. If it pulls back to 41, you're in the positive now. You made $2 and then you can buy it cheaper. Okay. You can't stand like the Statue of Liberty. Remember, I told you that. Trade it, make some money, lower your cost. All right. Be on your toes. All right, everyone. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Ham.
Thank you. You got it.
I don't like
Call
short.
ended.
I don't like short sellers very much. You don't like a lot of people. Welcome back, Jeff. That's great. It's very funny. Dry sense of humor. Let me answer. There were 2 or 3 things that I couldn't answer with him. He'd get bored. One is on the idea of a squeezing finger. My view is that you shouldn't be expecting a squeeze anytime soon. That doesn't mean I don't think a squeeze couldn't happen. Is that right? I still think a squeeze can happen. It's just when you're looking at buying it at $2, I think the criminals have it under control. But what I just heard just now, because I'm dim-witted, I thought what he had told me was end of August. It's end of July. So you've got the potential of an institutional brokerage house with a sales force, like it used to be, having an interest in buying the stock in August. That's pretty interesting. So my whole point is the center of gravity of finger, I don't know what number to pick, seems to be around $3. It runs up sometimes a little higher, but they get it to 3, then they get it down in the high 1s, they get it to 4, and it's always like an electron. It's spinning around the sun of $3. Well, my point is if the stock suddenly starts orbiting around $7, let's say, instead of $3, it doesn't mean it won't go higher, doesn't mean it won't go lower. It just all of a sudden, if you believe there's a 250 million share short position, it's getting very expensive to carry at $7. That's when I think you could see squeezes come in. The other thing on finger is if finger were to get to profitability or the visibility, the ability of analysts to see when profitability is going to happen and then going to stay there forever, basically, other than a few aberrations, that stock starts running, and that'll make the shorts want to cover. And then finally, just any big thing out of the blue that is a surprise will shock the shorts. So I just think, though, for your mental sanity, you should be adding to finger, understanding they're not taking money down here. They're not going to do it. Now, he said on the call, the interview, that he needed to raise some money. Let me just ask you a question. How many ways can a company raise money? Do companies have to go to Jeffrey Lind, the lying, thieving, untalented criminal, in my judgment, all in my judgment, at just a front for his clients who are also criminals, in my judgment? Any CEO going to Lind Partners is committing share fratricide, share price arkancide. I mean, it's a disaster. But is that the only place that a company can raise money? Is it the only method a company can raise money? Just think to yourself, are there other ways that companies can raise money? I think you'll find out that The answer for the discerning CEO is yes. There are other methods of raising money other than destroying your capital table by giving a criminal firm, in my judgment, like Lynn Partners, representing criminal hedge funds, in my judgment, rather than giving them free rein to destroy shareholder value. The discerning CEO knows there's other ways of approaching raising capital than going to the pimps at Lynn Partners. So let's just assume that the CEO at Finger Motion has other ideas in mind. And there's the potential for big, clear growth contracts. We just heard about one, but to you, oh, it's not in the stock price. It can't be a good contract because you've been trained by Wall Street that it's a random walk down Wall Street. Everything's in the stock price. So obviously the announcement's bad because the stock price is down. You've been banged on the head so much, but you don't see it. The crack research team at Lynn Partners or at Lynn Partners criminal hedge funds, their crack research team, it doesn't take them a minute to put out their sell recommendation to themselves. Why? Because as soon as a company needs capital, they just destroy the price by selling stock that doesn't exist. Why? Because Gary Gensler couldn't care less. Why? Because Adina Friedman is a fraud broad. She's a broad who's a fraud. And she collects $2.6 million a month. Boy, this is exciting, having jobs that the patriarchy kept from us all those years. I'm talented. I'm a woman. I've got sort of an attractive smile, and I make $2.6 million a month because I am woman. Hear me strong. Hear me roar. Well, she's not doing anything. I don't care if she's a woman, a man, or a horse. She's got to do the job. She doesn't do the job. She doesn't care. So the selling destroys the stock price because they figure if the company needs to raise money, they're going to have to sell shares. And because Wall Street is bereft of honest broker-dealers, there's a dearth of analysts because the SEC drove analysts out of the market. There's zero buying below $5 a share by retail brokers. The criminals figure, hey, if they got to raise money, all we got to do is drive the price down, a la HPIL, VNUE, GTLL, COSM, CLNV or CNLV, whatever, MULN, MMAT. When they drive it down, the CEO who's hooked on heroin, hooked on cocaine, hooked on crack, can't find a place to live. The company comes back to the pimp, Jeff Easton. And Jeff Easton says, hey, I got some good stuff for you. This time, we're going to sell you, hey, I got this in. You got to be careful, but it's got a kick on it. We're going to do an above market offering. It's perfect for you. So the CEO goes, hey, I'm Jeremy Fromner. I will put out a press release saying that I see no evidence that Jeff Easton and his investors sold shares that don't exist. And then later on, Jeremy Frommer holds a space call and he announces that because he's a particularly hard-headed guy, completely dense. I think he's honest. I think he's brave. And I think he's intelligent. But he's got a peculiar need to go through the wall himself and not listen to anybody else. He's got a thick head, I guess, because he learned young in life that everyone around him was stupider than he is, even though stupider is not a word. So he puts out a press release saying, we see, after extensive due diligence, we see no evidence that my best friend over at Lynn Partners, whatever his frickin' name is, I can't remember it, Jeff Easton, there's no evidence that he's short selling. Of course there's not. He's just a front. It's his buddies at the hedge funds. But with this new product that Jeremy Frommer looks at and doesn't see any evidence of wrongdoing till his stock price gets destroyed after a 500-for-1 reverse split. And now he's selling a third of his assets as if that's a strategic idea. That's just selling a third of your assets because the pimp got you. Because you didn't listen. Well, William, how do you know that Jeff Easton and his clients are short selling? Do you know that they're no, I don't know how many shares. Ann Wagner at the subcommittee for oversight on financial markets refuses to implement an audited trail and make it transparent. Gary Gensler goes in front of Congress and claims that the United States markets are the deepest and the best capital formation markets in the world, and they have transparency. It's all hogwash. But he's a unique, talented liar, just like his bosses at the Clinton Foundation. Everything on here is in my judgment and opinion. So what happens is these Wall Street pimps and their lawyers and their suppliers hook the CEO on doing no work. And then the CEO, once they sign it, that onslaught of selling, I don't think as terrific a job as he's done, I don't even think Mark Bazile gets that settling and getting the warrants removed or getting the deal removed, that's just a small part of what the criminals do. That's just a pressure valve. That's for when initially, when the company still has a reasonably healthy cap table. They have this pressure valve that they can, dishonest attorneys can sign off a letter that the clients of Jeff Easton can give to the prime broker, and the prime broker says, "Oh, we'll accept your orders. You don't have to settle. You don't have to locate. You don't have to borrow. Fine with us. We're going to charge you, but no problem. Hey, you're a good client. Hey, you got 20 billion under management. You're the best. You guys are geniuses." And Adina Friedman, she couldn't care less. DEI hire. Carlyle Group. Let's put someone in at NASDAQ that has Carlyle Group's interests at heart. We're democratic We're founded by some of the best Democratic employees in the Clinton administration. Rubenstein. I forget the other one. And I knew one of the originals. Hey, we're all for DIA. We got to get women through. Let's put her in. She has no talent, but she'll be grateful to us and she'll look out for us. And she doesn't care about the rules because she's making $2.6 million a year. Look what happened to Richard Maddow once she started making $100,000 a show. Truth stopped mattering. It's a game changer for the souls who have no integrity. So what happens with Finger? He says, I'm going to sell some. I got to raise some money. All of Jeffrey Easton's clients, he's just a front. They hear that, they go, oh, well, we got to do is just sell it down, sell it down. The day traders, sell it down, sell it down, sell it down. There's news out, sell it down, sell it down. Cross, walk it down, walk it down. Adina Friedman, her newest client on NASDAQ, she doesn't care about settlement. She doesn't care about collusion. She doesn't care about spoofing. All she cares about is the men. And who doesn't prefer to hang out with men? She's sucking up to men at Carlyle Group. She wants to go higher. 2.6 million isn't enough per month for her completely ineffectual leadership. But hey, she's a woman and we got things balanced up. When are we going to stop doing this? Don't hear me wrong. I don't care if she's a woman or a man. Just do the job. So anyway, into this, they sell and they sell and they do it with computers and they do it across 100 names, 1,000 names, because the whole system is corrupted. And it's the one that Gary Gensler protects. It's the one that Adina Friedman protects. Or she's stupid, which is also possible, I suppose. But I doubt it. Gary Gensler could be stupid, but I doubt it. They're protecting it. They're protecting it. So as soon as people hear, well, Finger needs to raise money, let's sell it down. If we can get it to 1, they'll have to issue, they have 52 million shares out right now. If we can get it under 1, any offering they're going to do is going to be discounted to $1. Maybe they have to do it at 50 cents. I don't know. I'm going to make it up. Maybe they want to raise $5 or $10 million. Well, at 50 cents a share, all of a sudden the 52 million shares becomes 100 million or 150 million. And if we can put in it a conversion feature with some bells and whistles, all of a sudden what was great, what was gigantic, when you divided the metrics by 52 million shares, just kind of looks so when you divide it by 150 million shares. That's their whole strategy. That's what they do in every single company. Every one you hear of, MULM, COSM, MMAT, give me some names. Every single one that signs up with Jeff Easton. Vocal, CRTD, 500 to 1 reverse split. But hey, he's proud. He got the hot money out. Damn sure, it's damn straight he got the hot money out. They do it with every single stock. Why? There's no buying Any stock under $5, there's no retail buying. In fact, most brokerage firms tell you to sell that stock when you transfer your account in. Some firms it's under $7. Institutional, there's no institutional buying under $10 a share, roughly. There's no retail or institutional buying under $1 billion market cap. There's no buying. And in fact, they're selling. So this is a wide open field. Adina Friedman could care less. And I think she should regurgitate every single dime she's ever made at the NASDAQ. That's how bad she is. I think Gary Gensler should give his $125 million he made at the Clinton Foundation and at Goldman Sachs, he should give it all back to the markets. That's how corrupt he is. And I think Ann Wagner should go sit on the Mississippi and smoke a pipe. So there's no buying. In fact, they're selling. They don't have to settle the trades. They don't have to report full disclosure. They don't have to put a prospectus before the SEC as they start selling the shares. They don't have to have a use of proceeds. Whenever they arrange a cross, if they go to a firm like COSM did, they raised $35 million at one fell swoop, stealing it from you, busting short squeezes. They never reported who bought all those shares. Never reported it. Why? Because Adina Friedman doesn't care. Robert Cook doesn't care. Gary Gensler doesn't care. Ann Wagner doesn't care. They don't care. So the whole idea with Finger is Martin Shen mentioned that he needed to raise money. Sell it down. Well, I don't care how big the contract is. He needs to raise money. So we're going to sell that boy down. So instead of selling 100,000 shares, instead of selling 1 million shares at $5 to raise $5 million, I'm just using that number, they'll have to sell what? 10 million shares, 100 million shares at 50 cents to raise $5 million, whatever the arithmetic is. So that the contract, instead of being gangbusters, just becomes mediocre. And this, Jeremy Fromner couldn't see because he's stubborn. Couldn't see it. I don't know if he sees it still. But he did go out on a space call and say that if they don't fix this, the public markets will cease to exist. The public markets will cease to exist. Well, he's a slow learner. It's too bad you had to lose so much money. I lost a shitload of money believing in Jeremy Fromner. And I'm not hot money. But he, smart is as smart does. I'd rather deal with an idiot than someone as smart as Jeremy Frommer. He sure showed me. So anyway, to get back to Finger, the criminals out there are moving stock from one LLC to close the trade so they can look, when they sell money they don't have. When they sell shares they don't have, they're pulling money out of the market like a sponge. The money's sitting in that sponge. But before they can squeeze it and get the water in their dish, they have to cover the trades. Well, how do they do it? They move it from one LLC to the next one. And they'll walk away from that. Ann Wagner doesn't care. Ann Wagner doesn't care. She wants to protect the privacy of her biggest campaign contributors. Dina Friedman doesn't care. Hell, she's making 2.6 million a month. Why should she care? Her life's good. Her daughters are going to go to school. Future is woman. I think it's very selfish on her part. There's a lot of women that are being destroyed by her incompetence and her coldness. Women own more financial assets in the United States than men. What she does hurts women, but she doesn't care. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. She does not care. So what I will put out there, based on what Ham just said, we just saw a huge contract. I think that contract that was announced by Finger Motion last week, everyone, or 2 weeks ago, well, I'd feel much better if the stock price went up. Okay, fine. Then you don't belong in the stock. But if you can read, the contract, and you can make it one assumption. How do you get a contract in China to retrofit or fit out the first responders' vehicles? 2 to 5 million of them. How do you get that contract? Probably the Chinese government. Probably the Chinese government. So you have the trust of the government. They announced the first 2 vehicles. You look at, all you have to do is Google it. There's something like 2.8 million vehicles out there. I understand from Ham it's 5 million. Pick a number. $1,000 a vehicle? I don't know. $1,000 a vehicle. It's $5 billion. Let's say they make 20% of that. $1 billion in future revenues from that contract coming to Finger. Oh, I'd feel much better if the stock price went up. I know. And it says here that Ham's wife owns stock, and it says here that and William, what's your best trade? Why don't you tell us your best trade? And I don't know, the stock price is down. It seems like you guys are just pumpers. Oh, that's fine. Then don't buy it. But at $200 to Finger, a car times 5 million cars, I come up with $1 billion in revenue. I don't know how many years. You have 52 million shares outstanding. Let's divide that by 52. Well, let's put a PV. Let's discount it. Let's discount it by half. $500 million. Let's divide that by 52 million shares. It's $9.60 a share from one contract. And I discounted it. I used a present value of 50%. There's no market in the world that's going to do that. But I feel better if the stock, you know why the stock price is down. Adina Friedman encourages short selling in NASDAQ stocks by looking the other way at the best, or by hobnobbing, working behind the scenes on behalf of the big hedge funds like Carlyle Group and Goldman Sachs to make it a legal way of stealing from you and from CEOs. That's Adina Friedman. That's female power. You should be proud of her. She's breaking new ground for women in the criminal field. I'm not proud of her. I'm not proud of Gary Gensler. Not proud of Robert Cook. And they're not women. So anyway, you've got one contract at $200 a car, could give $1 billion over time. Present value it however you want. I did it by half, $10 a share for Finger. That is ginormous. But remember, it's one contract. Do you think that the Chinese government only has 5 million vehicles that they're interested in retrofitting? China sits next to the largest army in the world by people. I think it's the Indian Army. North of them, they have Russia, and they have to protect resources. They're a communist government, and their population is making money and has internet. You don't think there's other uses for this technology? You don't think there'll be other contracts? Anyway, that's one thing. Second thing, what you just heard from Ham, a big institutional brokerage firm is going to be seeing him by the end of this month. Does that mean research? Does that mean buying? Very possibly. Third thing, what if they don't raise money by selling shares? I'll leave that to you to figure out how that could be done. Fourth thing, they've got everything that they've been consistently telling you in 6 or 7 other areas of growth in revenue, cash flow, leading to profitability in their 2025 fiscal year, which we're in right now. We're in right now. And then Ham would tell you that there's 250 million shares that have been sold that don't exist. And though every single one has to be bought back. And that's life-changing money. I don't know why you still look at Finger's price and go, gosh, it's down. I would suggest that you look at it differently. Wow, it's cheap. Now, I can't tell you, and at any time, a stock can go down by 50%. It can get cheaper. But what's ahead of you is the potential, forget the short squeeze. From $2, if it goes to $6, you've tripled your money. BlackRock can't do that. BlackRock has $10 trillion under management, and their average fund returns, according to Google, 14% per year. And they have to cheat to do that. They go to Adina Friedman, they go to Ann Wagner, they go to Gary Gensler, they go to Robert Cook, they go to Goldman Sachs, and they've institutionalized grand theft auto in the US markets. And it's all okay. But in the case of Finger, they're going to be caught out. They're going to be caught out because the one thing that catches shorts out is when big boys come by and girls, big boys and girls come buying based on research, based on projections. They know how to buy. Do you think that Warren Buffett waited until Washington Post was $1,000 a share before he bought it? I don't. That's a long time ago. I don't know where it trades now. It's a worthless rag now. Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post for less than the contract he got from the CIA to do their cloud business. And you still read the Washington Post. It doesn't strike you that the Washington Post writes material from the CIA. You figure the CIA interferes in elections overseas, all for the good of democracy and freedom. There's no way they do it here, particularly when they demonize, not they, but others demonize one candidate as if he were Joseph Stalin. Anyway, I think there is a huge whiplash that's going to come in finger. And if you can wait and bemoan it and go, gosh, oh, it's wrong, they have it down, but you understand why it's down. You understand what they do, but you also understand Martin Shen has said it. He is not going to issue, they put a press release out. They're not going to issue stock down here. They're not going to go back to the lying, thieving, dishonest scumbag, Jeff Easton. They're not going back. So how are the people, whether or not they're short legal or illegally, how are they going to cover? There's not going to be more stock. He is going to keep his share cap table at 50 million shares outstanding. And if it goes higher, he's going to make sure that the acquisitions he does are, I hate the word, accretive rather than dilutive. But you want to bemoan it. I get it. It's fine. It's just like COSM. It's just like Vocal. It's just like MULN. It's just like COSM. It's just like HPIL. It's just like VNUE. It's just like MMAT. It's just, and they're going to do a U3 halt. It's all the same. All right. Okay. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is you've got a CEO who slowly has built the trust with his team, with the Chinese government. It's technology, low cost of goods as it grows, and the ramp up in value coming from ramp up in sales is here. That's another way to look at it. It's a long answer on fingers, sorry. I'll go backwards. I can't read that question out, apparently, on YouTube, but I think that DJT will go up because of that. I also think that unless they're successful waylaying him, he's easily going to win the election in November. I think everything changed. They've tried false legal charges. They've tried manipulating. Anyway, I'm not going to go through everything. It's too risky. It's too risky to say it out loud. But yeah, I think it could. NSA, definitely. I think it could. Yes, I think. Yes, I think it could. I think it could. Yes, I think it could. I think it could. Exactly. There you go, Jeff. What's funny, it's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide. But you know, the thing is, what I really mean. Those are the bluest eyes I've ever seen. And you can tell everybody. Oh, however, those stupid songs go. When I lived in the Soviet Union, and I went there a couple more times, I was young. But I remember that in front of the embassy, we had this wall, and we would put out the Washington Post, the New York Times, Chicago Tribune, maybe, I forget. But the LA Times, we'd put out, and the Herald Tribune, we'd put it out behind glass. And this was our way of saying "Yop tu vayu mats" to the Soviets. And Russians would come up and read it and look at pictures, and we were truthful. Pravda and Izvestia were untruthful. Well, now what's going on? the mainstream media called it a shooting incident the other night. There were pops. That's not what happened the other night. If he hadn't turned his head, I guess he turned it this way. He turned like this, and it went. If he had been standing like this, boom, right in the back of his head. What would they have called it then? Our country has to stop doing this. You have to stop listening to CNN. You have to stop listening to MSNBC. You have to stop reading the news sections of the New York Times and the Washington Post as it relates to war, U.S. policy, and government, and politics. You have to stop reading it. I mean, you don't have to. You can keep reading it. But you do so at the threat of your financial health, in my opinion. Well, I saw that there was a picture where he was shot in the chest, but I haven't seen a confirmation of that. So I don't know if that was just a doctored photograph or not. Apparently, the shooter didn't make his high school rifle team because he was such a lousy shot. How's that? What if the shooter wasn't standing in the grassy knoll? The counter snipers were the state police. They weren't Secret Service. How did the Secret Service not have someone on that roof? I think there's a lot of questions. But when you think your political opposition is Hitler, you think you're doing the Lord's work. Ends justify the means. And that goes back to what you were pointing out. It's very Marxist. It's very Soviet. It's very Stalinist. And it's our country. And it's all because we hate Trump. Well, if you hate Trump so much that you're willing to give up the protections that are built into our form of government, which are only protections if we all agree to follow them. If you're willing to give all that up because you hate Trump, I can tell you, I didn't enjoy the last 4 years of having a senile old man in the White House and having a White House run by neocons. And as James Carville calls it, a bunch of batshit crazy women. Professional counselors. You know, they quickly interviewed one or two of his classmates. I don't know how they found him, but the one classmate they interviewed said, well, he was alone. He was a loner. He was alone and he was bullied. Getting it into your head that he's a lone gunman. I'm telling you, it doesn't add up. None of it adds up. I sang. Yeah. And I'm taking the risk of talking this way. I'm not anti-equality and anti-woman. I am anti-moving people ahead of their skill level just because they check a box. I am anti that. And that includes men too, like Jared Kushner. moving him up just because he married your daughter, I think is wrong. I don't like the 3-letter agent. Oh, I forgot to answer the other question. On MAXN, I'll look that up. But when you tell me the enterprise value is 360 million and the market cap is 13 million, that doesn't impress me. But I'll look it up. Maybe you're onto something. I'll look it up. All right. The other question was on Logic. When they do the reverse merger, will it be a SPAC? And will it be with Aubrey Advisors? I hope the hell not. I'm trying to find the news story. Of course, I can't find it quickly. Oh, here, maybe there it is. Maybe it's right here. Maybe it's right here. No, I got one more. One more. No, I can't find it. All right, I'll just tell you again. You can look up the news story. But Logic announced that they're going to do $100 million deal, reverse merger. Going to do a reverse merger of $100 million. Let me get the story because I'm not sure I can recreate it. Here, let me look it up. Just like you can do. I have to go to Yahoo, I guess. Okay. All right. I can't show it to you because I can't find it. But on May 23rd, 2024, Logic announced that they signed a letter of intent to acquire a privately held biotech company called MedLab Essentials in a $100 million valuation deal. Logic, a pioneering force in digital consumer acquisition solutions, today revealed the signing of a binding letter of intent to acquire MedLab Essentials, a trailblazer in cell and gene therapy innovation, in which Logic will acquire MedLab in exchange of newly issued shares of Logic for 100% of the shareholder interests of MedLab. MedLab will become a wholly owned subsidiary of the company and is expected to place executives in senior management position. This acquisition, valued at an estimated $100 million, marks a significant milestone for Logic as it diversifies into the burgeoning biotech sector. The preliminary target valuation is set at 100 million. So I've got to go back. I think it's PS 71. Got to find the question. There it is. PS 71. So there's your first risk. Is the valuation accurate? If you're dealing with Aubrey advisors, who I think are also fronts for hedge funds, they're either stupid or complicit. They've done over 100 SPAC sponsorships, but in the case of Logic and Collective Audience, they destroyed the companies. I don't want to go back through it. We've talked about it before. It's either incompetence or they did it on purpose. My vote, they did it on purpose. So at 100 million, Logic shareholders will retain 15% post-transaction. Okay. Let me just make sure. Yeah. The other thing is I have to adjust my target on this acquisition because the company issued more shares and they increased their authorized to 300 million shares. I didn't see it. I saw it after the fact. So this acquisition is worth 5 cents a share, not 6 cents a share. The stock is trading at it closed. It closed at 0.0266. So it closed at 2.5 cents, basically. This transaction is worth 5 cents, not 6 cents now. It's actually, I'm using the full 300 million. They don't have 300 million shares issued. I'm just trying to be conservative. Okay, then you continue reading. Unfortunately, the second risk comes in. They want to trade on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is a disaster for companies. It used to be the best over-the-counter market in the world. It now, under Adina Friedman's leadership, is a slaughterhouse for CEOs and shareholder value. There's no two ways around it. But anyway, they might also list on the New York Stock Exchange. And they're also going to do a large capital raise by the fall. These are risks. As you point out, if they go back to Aubrey Advisors will destroy the cap table. I don't think they are going to go back there. I do not think they are going to go back. The other thing is, if the CEOs, let me read more of this story. This acquisition represents the first in a series, targeting a cumulative value exceeding $750 million, focusing on biotech and cell and gene therapy assets. We'll read down further. This is a big risk. The combined entity plans to secure a significant capital infusion in line with the transaction. If they do that with Aubrey Advisor, they are FUCKED. No doubt about it. in my judgment. But they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. This transaction is slated for completion by July 31, 2024. 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now. Subject to standard closing conditions. We haven't heard anything negative yet. 2 weeks from now, that should be done. Now, listen to this sentence. This acquisition is the first of 3 biotech-focused companies with subsequent acquisitions already in the LOI stage, letter of intent. That was as of May 23rd. So what do we know? Now I'm making some assumptions here. Because we don't have enough information. But if you assume they're not going to use Aubrey advisors, who were just fancy criminals, in my opinion, just like Jeff Easton, my opinion. I see no evidence that they're not. And you assume no toxic rays, these are the 2 biggest risks in the logic story. I think it's pretty certain they're not going to go with Aubrey advisors, but it's not a guarantee. But I think it's pretty certain. I don't know, this toxic rays, the CEO has been fooled 3 times in a row. I think he's great. He works his ass off. He's smart. And he's got deal flow. He's competitive. But he was fooled by the Neo exchange. He was fooled by Ionic. And he was fooled by Aubrey. Although, in his defense, I don't think he picked Aubrey. I don't think he had the say-so. In the case of Ionic, there's people that defend Ionic, that they're not short sellers. And the Neo, they, just like the NASDAQ, they pulled out all stops. So it's hard to blame him. My opinion, he's not going to do a toxic race. That's my opinion. I think he's going to go to private investors or to a plain vanilla firm. That's my opinion. Or, here's the other assumption. The valuations are accepted by all parties. Those are the 3 assumptions that have to be made to make this work. Now, I think in all cases, I think everybody's working together. I have nothing but admiration for Brent's son. And I think he's not going to make a mistake. That's my opinion. There's no guarantee. All right. What do we know? Here's the 3 things we know about logic. These are also a little bit assumptions. They just put out in the press release, they're going to do a series. And they had said this deal is the first of 3 that are already in the LOI stage. So you know it's over $750 million. You know, they have 3 LOIs, including this one. 3 LOIs, including this one. And we're, as shareholders, meant to get 15%. We know these things. We also know they recently expanded the authorized shares to 300 million. 300 million using Yahoo. Using Yahoo, they have, they still have 232 million shares outstanding. Now let me go to OTC markets. They have 200, let's call it 278 million shares outstanding. Authorized 300 million. So let's use 300 million, not 278. I assume they had to raise some money. So let's use 300 million shares outstanding. Let's use 800 million as our valuation model, and let's use 15%. So our shares should be worth, ceteris paribus, $120 million. If our shares should be worth $120 million, 15% of that. I think that's right. 80 plus 40. Yeah, 120 million. We divide it by 300 million shares. It's much lower than my, not that much lower, but it is about 6 or 7 cents lower. You get a 40-cent target. That's from these 3 deals. Now, there's some assumptions in what I said, because when you read the news report, it says a series of acquisitions. So it might be more than 3. But it said the series will be worth more than 750 million. So, you know, there's some give and take in this analysis. The stock is easy to borrow. So will it have a short squeeze? Probably not. Could there be? The short sellers are Aubrey Advisors clients, in my judgment. Real shorts that said, hey, we've been through this rodeo before, and probably leftover shorts, either possibly from the Ionic time frame and the Neo time frame, that are illegal. So do those shorts, once these deals are announced, cause the stock to move to 40 cents? Maybe not. Maybe. Maybe they move it to 10 cents, 15 cents. It's a nice trade. Now, the other thing you got to remember, which helps the shorts, this is how the criminals get in to CEOs, and the CEOs get trapped. Aubrey's Advisors sets it up, and it helps Polar their hedge fund. But the other thing you have to remember is we all voted in a 50 for 1. In other words, a 1 for 50 stock split. So the 40 cents target becomes $20. Now, if these three companies come together and they have institutional demand and they do have revenue projections, you can raise the $20 through an institutional firm. You don't have to go to Aubrey Advisors, who I think are fronts. They're just more magnificent fronts than Jeff Easton. You could go to a Allen and Co. or a Roth Capital or a, I'm trying to think of the healthcare funds that used to be out there. But you could raise that money, and it's going to be hard to short it. It's going to be hard to short it from $20. So anyway, there is one other risk, PS 71, that's really hard to describe. But there's 3 deals they've talked about. There's 3 deals. If the first CEO says to Brent, hey, you told us you were going to do it at 6 cents or 5 cents a share, the 15%, it's just arithmetic. We get 15%. Anyway, I did the arithmetic for you. Do I have to read that out again? It's valued at 100 million. We get 15%. So you can calculate out the share price based on how many shares exist for logic. Then you issue the remaining shares at that price. But that's an arithmetic. And it comes out in this example at 5 cents. Because they expanded the number of shares. I used to use 6 cents. Well, the stock's trading at 2.5 cents. If the CEO of the acquired firm says, hey, wait a minute, if you give us those number of shares, it's only worth half of that. That's what the criminals do under Adina Freeman's watchful eye. That's what the criminals do with the approval of Gary Gensler and Chuck E. Cheese Cromwell. So if the CEO says, hey, I want double the number of shares, well, that starts a cascading effect, which dilutes everyone because there's a second company that's going to come in. And if the first company says, I want double the number of shares, the second company is going to say, hey, wait a minute, we need double the number of the shares. But then Polar is going to be out there and Aubrey Advisors are going to be out there shorting the stock. And by that time, the stock's down to a penny. And the second CEO is going to say, hey, no. We want 4 times the number of shares we agreed to. And then the third CEO comes along and says, hey, what about us? You promised this number of shares, but now you've diluted it 6 times or more. We want 10 times the number of shares you promised us. Well, if all the CEOs do that kind of thinking, they just destroy each other. They play into the hands of Aubrey Advisors and their clients, all in my judgment. They play in the hands of Ionic. They play into the hands of the Neo Exchange investors, the 4 of them. So what we have to count on is that Brent says to that Brent says to company number 1, company number 2, and company number 3, we are going to use the valuations that we agree. We're not going to use the price of the stock in the stock market. And we're going to do all of these calculations simultaneously at 15%. And we're going to issue the shares based on that valuation simultaneously. We're going to ignore what Aubrey Advisors and their clients are doing to our shares. We're going to ignore the illegal short selling. Oh, no, there's systems in place. It's just real short sellers. We're going to ignore the real short sellers. We're going to use valuations you give us, we agree to. We're going to do the arithmetic based on 15% and on the shares outstanding. If they do that, we're going to have a $20 stock probably on its way to $50 over the next 2 or 3 years. But I'm not, and when I say $20 stock, that's 40 cents. I'm not telling you to hold on for all of that. What I am suggesting is that Logic should trade higher than 2.5 cents as long as Aubrey Advisors is ignored completely, and Chadron Advisors and the lawyers that represent them. As long as they're ignored completely, I think 2.5 cents could be worth 25 cents. But you might not want to wait that long. You might just get out at 10 cents. It's 4 times your money, but we'll see. And the wait is just 2 more weeks. I hope I didn't confuse. I hope I addressed the risks. The risks are that the CEOs look at the fake stock price that Aubrey Advisors and their clients created. It's fraud. It's complete fraud. Chuck E. Cheese Cromwell at OTC Markets is okay with it. He doesn't care. Gensler doesn't care. FINRA doesn't care. They don't care. So it takes a CEO with leadership, which I think Brent has. It takes a CEO with his own money on the line, which I think Brent has done. It takes a CEO who does not quit and is not greedy, by the way. He's looking out for shareholders. That's Brent. And it takes 3 or 4 CEOs to listen to him, which I think he can explain it, to say, look, we have to agree the valuations. We have to agree the simple arithmetic, and we're going to ignore what Aubrey Advisors has done to our stock price, either through incompetence or intentionally. We can all agree it was at least through incompetence. So I like the Logic trade very much. I'm going to stop talking about it. I guess I'll try to do a video on it again. But I think 2.5 cents could go to 25 cents. At the more time it takes, the more they need to raise money, the more the stock price is kept down, the more dilution. That's why my numbers keep coming down. The more they turned Aubrey Advisors, the more destructive. Aubrey Advisors is a prestigious Jeff Easton or Kurt Kramer. They're just a front for their short selling, illegal short selling hedge funds. That's all it is. That's all it is. They just bigger zeros, and they can be more impressive in their lies. That's my opinion. So anyway, I think logic, you're going to hear the news very soon. And I think there's a trade. If the news impresses you or me such that I say, you know what, I may try to trade this right now, but I may wait and see what happens on the New York Stock Exchange, which is where I hope they go. I'm very optimistic they're going to put a team together and they're going to kick butt. But if they listen, you're right. If they listen to Aubrey Advisors, they might as well go work for Walmart, because Aubrey Advisors and their clients will suck all of the upside out up front because, hey, we're Aubrey Advisors. We're good guys. We keep our word, just like they did to Collective Audience. Just like they did to Collective Audience. He retweeted a quote that said something like, in South Korea, they use capital punishment like they used to do in the Wild West against short sellers. They used a specific word. We live in a free country, but on YouTube, Twitter, which is run by a woman, and other media sites, you can't express, you don't have the right to freedom of speech. So he retweeted without changing it, and he said, listen to South Korea. They should blank short sellers in this country as well. The word was that. And if you use that word, you get suspended. And I'm sure it applies to YouTube as well. That's why he was suspended. Well, it applies to men too, by the way. I'm hard on her because I think that's how she got the job. But it applies to men too. That's why it's the Peter principle. Men are promoted too quickly and beyond their skill levels too. It happens. No question. But I'm sick of the rapid fire way it's happening it's not happening in bricklaying. It's not happening in the army at the low levels. It's not happening with welders. It's not happening with deep sea fishermen. It only happens with these critical jobs. Because, hey, it's the patriarchy. Well, okay, maybe it's the patriarchy. But it also takes 30, 40, 50 years to accumulate the scars, the wisdom, and the knowledge to do the job. But sometimes they promote men too quickly, way too quickly, too. So it's not just a sex thing. In her case, it is. That's right. It's the Peter principle. Yeah. All right. So I think I came to the end and I can sign off. Pull my finger. Pull my finger. Pull my finger. All right. That's what happened to him. That's what happened to him. And he's got a new site. You can go to mine and see it. I forget what it is. Something like Ham 59, Ham 59591, something like that. But anyway, I'm going to sign off because I went really on and on about those two stocks. And I will study MAXN. If you're buying DJT, I think I'd wait till 10:30 if you can stand it. All right, Jeff. Peace. Power to the people. And let's say our prayers for peace. And say our prayers for the families who's have two people in critical condition and one father who had just retired from being a fireman killed at the rally. I think I'm praying for them. So anyway, cheers, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. And I really do wish Djokovic hadn't lost.